Hello, everyone, and good morning. Pure Marolla here from Thinkers, and I'm really excited to have you here today to talk about quite an important topic, the role of data stewards. See, when it comes to data roles, we often talk about roles like CDO, CDO, AI, CAIO, and so on. But sometimes we kind of forget about the people that are making data go, the data stewards. So it's a very exciting topic to bring to the stage. Today, I'm in the wonderful city of Yerevan in Armenia, and it's a beautiful sunny day. I'm looking forward to this discussion. And of course, I have an amazing guest with me, Nagim Ashufta, the CEO of DRIVA. But before we get to that, I would like to ask you, where are you coming from? Let's see if any of you is still on holidays, even though it's September, but I believe that a bit everywhere in the world we're having quite a warm September this time. So just type in the comments, of course, where you're coming from. And most importantly, do not forget to ask questions during this session, because the best thing about this session is to take advantage of the expert that we have with us, and therefore to get answers that are relevant to your specific case. As we know, the world of AI, the AI-driven era, is indeed changing everything. It's affecting a variety of roles. And it is obvious, considering we will be talking about data stewards, that data stewards are affected too. And we'll discuss this as well, as soon as we will invite on stage the guest of the day. So, without any further ado, it's a pleasure to have with us Nagim Ashufta. Welcome,
Hi,
Nagim. How are you?
hi, Pio. I'm good, thank you. And I hope everyone else is also doing good. And yeah, it's also sunny here in Hamburg. I hope the summer vibe is still going on for everyone.
Absolutely. Najim, we had you with us. We had a discussion earlier on this year about data domains. So perhaps some in the audience already know about you. But for those in the audience that don't know you yet, tell us something about yourself.
Yes, my pleasure. So yes, I'm Najim from Hamburg, Germany. And throughout my entire career, I had different data or analytics roles. I started basically as a data analyst, creating customer product data. And then throughout the journey, I ended up being a head of data management. And 4 years ago, I have founded DRIVA, a data analytics agency and consultancy. And with my team together, we try to establish data analytics capabilities within organizations. And one particular role which I have met throughout my entire journey, and that was a little bit misunderstood, was basically the data steward. And so that's why I'm very eager to talk now with you about this so important role, and happy to hear also from the audience what their take is on this particular role.
Yes, and let us welcome the audience. We have Katarina from Lisbon, just coming back from the holidays. Well, we have Natalia as well from Prague, Czech Republic, of course. Always great to have you with us, Natalia. And we have Mane from Yerevan as well. Welcome you all. Of course, I'm very excited to welcome you to this wonderful session about data stewards. Now, I'd like to pick up on what I was saying before, the fact that there are so many trendy roles and important roles that related to data that take all the attention, but sometimes we forget about data stewards. So let us start with the question: why are data stewards so important?
Well, first of all, you mentioned a lot of C's, yeah, and that is kind of telling us a bit of a story, yeah, that we are more focused on the strategic level and maybe on the tactical level, but when it gets to the nitty-gritty operational part, yeah, and where it becomes really complex, we try maybe to avoid it, yeah, especially in sessions like this. But I think it's very important, and the question you just asked is very brilliant because data stewards play an unprecedented important role for AI, for the AI landscape. And when we consider the latest surveys and also here on LinkedIn posts, then we would assume that everyone is now part of the AI world. And for that, they need to have good data. But before we really jump into, let's say, data stewards in the aspect of AI, I would like really to clarify about what role do we talk about, because historically speaking, the data steward has a kind of ambiguous definition. So it always has pivotal to data management and maintenance of data and data quality, but there was not really as such a clear definition, I would say. So when I talk now about data stewards, I really talk about the operational role of a data steward and not the discipline of data stewardship. And when we look into where they are coming from, then it is, in the past, it was very much about focusing on maintaining data, or creating or ensuring data quality is fit for purpose in the sense of for a functional unit, for a process, or for a specific application. So there was a very kind of limited view on data creation mainly and data use. And it was also the fact that the data stewards were dealing mainly with master data, reference data, and then in case maybe transactional data. So why I'm saying this, is the fact that this has changed. So the scope of data types has massively increased, especially if we talk about AI-based products. Then we deal here a lot with end consumer data, and we deal with metadata to a large extent. So we have here an audience now with data scientists, for example, that are data consumers, and they have different requirements on the data than, for example, someone that is creating maybe a customer invoice. So the playground has extended massively. So it is a much higher quantity of data, given the fact that AI is using much more data to create its models. And the quality of data has also a higher impact on the outcome of data or analytical data products. So in that sense, data stewards have a much, much bigger area of responsibilities in sense of who are they dealing with. So the stakeholder amount has increased, the data types have increased, and they are more on a tactical level in a sense of ensuring that governance standards as well as data access, data security, and so on are also considered for AI-based products.
Yeah. It is indeed a significant change and a significant extension of the playground, as you said before. So data stewards are indeed called to evolve alongside these changes. Now, there's a question here, and I believe that Natalia is referring to the general audience that we have today, but I think we can tackle this one. So what's the role of data stewards in AI projects? And should they have a role in AI projects?
Yes, I mean, as I said, they definitely have a role in AI, especially if we think about AI models that depend on high quality data, and that they have to oversee the data usage. They are, as I said, much closer to data consumers, which are in that sense machines now. And they have to ensure that these machines are capable of using the data in a manner that they need it. For example, if we have an AI-driven customer service chatbot, data stewards need to ensure that the training of the chatbot includes data which is of high quality, and it is feeding the interaction with the customer in a logical way. So they have to prevent, in that sense, also bias of what the chatbot would respond, or the data that they provide needs to provide or needs to make sure that the bias doesn't exist in the response the AI is providing. So data preparation becomes a much bigger topic, and the data scientists, if they look for someone that gives them insights about the data, how it is defined, where it is coming from, how it is the quality ensured, they speak to data stewards in that sense. And the data stewards obviously need then to talk to the side which is creating the data, is maintaining the data, and is ensuring that the way the data is in that sense available, is also feeding and fitting for the AI product purposes.
Yeah, and you mentioned the topic of bias here, which is a big deal, and really highlights the importance of preparation that you mentioned before. See, because of course, we are at the top of the hype cycle here when it comes to AI. But then there are things like bias, and when AI, generally speaking, presents the wrong information, or gives you something that perhaps is misleading, which is killing the trust in AI adoption.
Yeah.
So preparation and therefore data stewards play a very big role, a bigger role than maybe we can initially spot and think of.
Definitely, and that also is a requirement nowadays for data stewards, that they, depending now again, what kind of data steward they are, what data domain they are representing. But let's assume, for example, they are representing data domains that are human resource, and you deal with the selection of candidates,
Yeah.
So we have here again a sensitive topic of personal data. Data steward needs to be aware of regulations such as GDPR or CCPA, to ensure that AI applications do not are biased, misusing personal data, that there is no bias, for example, to demographic factors, gender, race, ethnicity, and so on. So they need to be aware of much more than in the past. So obviously they're not doing it alone. A data steward can't know everything, but a data steward knows everyone that ideally has to deal with that topic. So representing a domain, a subdomain, a data steward is the subject matter expert in a sense and knows to which process responsible that role has to talk to ensure that biases are not occurring, data is fitting for purpose, sensitive demands, requirements are met. So it is a very, in that sense, interdisciplinary role that has to deal with a wide range of different stakeholders, and we always call it squads. For depending what the data product is, for example, or the AI service. If they are part of that initiative, and they will be part of it as soon as, for example, a data governance manager is pointing out that this domain that the data steward is representing has to be involved in the data productization, then the data steward is dealing with these requirements, and then is creating a squad fitting for that data use case or data product, and is bringing the people with them in the setup to then define the data availability, the data quality, the data security, and so on, that is needed for producing or developing the AI-based service product.
Yeah, and you mentioned before the GDPR, and there is now the EU AI Act. So these are really big topics. And again, I see a massive expansion and this sense of again, there's many discipline playing here. So data stewards need to evolve. They need to be something else than what they used to be, definitely. Because of course, as you were saying before, they had more like categorized role within the organization. So what are the new skills? Let's look at it from sort of a talent perspective. What are the new skills that they need to own? What are the new skills that maybe organizations need to look for when looking for data stewards? What do you say?
Again, yeah, a shout out also to the audience, what they will, based on their daily operation, would call as important skill and responsibility. I would also point out the responsibilities that a data steward has. Yeah, it would be interesting to see what the audience is saying. But I would say, first of all, data stewards, and that is maybe not a new skill, but since we have a rise of data catalogs, yeah, and data stewards are feeding data catalog. They are the ones that define the data, whether it is conceptual or business data, whether it is KPIs, metrics, yeah, that have to be part of the module, or they give indication of the lineage, yeah. So data stewards, first of all, need to have a skill that allows them to think, first of all, in this separated modules and assess what kind of data type they are dealing with. And then they need to have strong communication skills to interact with, as I said, different stakeholders, whether it is from the business units or from AI or from IT. They need to kind of interact with these different heads and deal with different requirements. But now, in case of AI, and I will also say machine learning, they need to have a little bit of basic understanding of fundamentals of AI and ML. So they should know some basic machine learning modules and should be trained in that. So then they have a better feeling also how the data needs to be, yeah, how it needs to be prepared, and how it should be suitable for training an AI model. Yeah, so it's a different set. Yeah, Pio, you and I, we had also presentations about offensive and defensive data strategies. Yeah, so now this is a more offensive data strategy topic. Yeah, so it is different to requirements related to I need to have a workflow in SAP. Yeah, and I need to make sure that the data creation is fitting for invoicing or approaching customers with my marketing department and so on. So it's definitely to be trained in AI and ML models. They then also they need to have some training in advanced data governance techniques. And with that, I mean data anomaly detection. Yeah, so they have to look for some errors or areas of where the data is not consistent. They need to support principles such as the FAIR principles, and they need to understand what impact it has on their data. Yeah. They need obviously to be more, they need to have understanding and skill set in legal and ethical issues related. You mentioned AI, related to AI. So, and what that has an impact on the data landscape, yeah, the regulations and sense of classifying data, yeah, protecting data. That is very important. And but I would say the level of collaboration and communication, because for data security, data protection, and so on, there are also other roles that will be part. But getting all these roles on the table or yeah, sitting together and working together, having an ear for who I need to involve for that particular AI use case, that is very important. Yeah. And in most cases, data stewards are the ones that dictate the path of improving data analytics or AI capabilities within a domain or in a wider sense. Yeah, so they are the extension of a central data governance team. So in that sense, they need to do a lot of change management or data literacy training. Yeah, so I would claim that collaboration, communication is very important in the area of AI, knowing AI methods and techniques, and that needs to be by then transported to the larger extent of the organization.
They have to have it all, basically, isn't it? Because there is a technical side, there's a technical side, and there is even more complexity in that with AI added into the equation. But at the same time, there is also the communication side and the collaborative skills that they need to have. So, it sounds one of those ads where, you're looking for someone tall, handsome, rich, and empathetic and all, like data stewards really have quite a lot to develop nowadays. And I hear a lot of similarities to what we were discussing with some of our clients and some of our, of course, followers about the fact that data management professionals in general are moving further and further away from being relegated sort of to a part which is IT, to the one of becoming communicators or strategic connectors, in order to use a term. And that's very much a shift. So how do we make this shift happen? Because traditionally, we didn't have, data stewards were not called to cover all of these things at once. So how do we help them?
Yeah, I mean, again, it always kind of depends on the circumstances within a company. Yeah, size of the company, industry of the company, level of maturity in data analytics and AI. And I have to mention all three of them because it is building up on each other. Yeah. So whoever talks about an AI strategy, necessarily has also to ensure that there's a data management foundation feeding that AI strategy. Yeah. So in that sense, I have to talk about all of these. Now, you mentioned that there need to be the kind of superheroes, dealing with all of that. I think it is important to understand that you do not have one particular data steward that is representing, for example, in most cases, an entire data domain. Yeah. If we think, for example, now a very functional data domain such as human resources, you would have several data stewards representing maybe talent requirements, and the search for new candidates, then managing existing workforce, then you have maybe upskilling and so on. So you would have a number of data stewards representing a data domain. So why I'm saying that, and that is maybe something that in the past has been misunderstood, that I have a data steward, that data steward needs to do all of it. No, a data steward needs to have an environment that allows the role holder to execute her or his responsibility. So I need a network of data stewards that are supporting each other, because not everyone knows everything, but together they can solve the questions, And the other thing is, data domain owners or data owners need, to provide data stewards an environment where they have, first of all, the strategic and tactical support for making decisions, for aligning on data quality aspects, and have the resource availability. Data stewards in the past, they had a little bit the tendency of being a side activity, so they were doing it on top of their other activities. Now we say data stewards should have a dedicated or is a dedicated role that ideally is doing nothing else than fulfilling the duties of a data steward. So in that sense, they have much more time and an environment to fulfill these responsibilities and duties. And so it is not only up to them, it's about the network that they need to have to flourish in their role. I hope that answered your
Yeah.
question.
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, as the job as the role is becoming more complex, it is important that enough assistance, time, resources are given in order
Yeah.
for the data steward to really perform at the very best, because it's going to be needed. Quite simply, it's going to be needed. It's a role of high responsibility and high importance. And there was actually one poll that we ran recently asking about how the organization find data stewards, whether they hire them, whether they build them, or whether they don't have any data stewards. And the
Yeah.
results were quite interesting, basically, because the majority of the people, the majority of the ones that responded to the poll said that they build data stewards. 76% build data stewards rather than hiring them. 5% hire new data stewards, and 19% don't have any data stewards.
Mhm.
How do you interpret these results?
Okay, my first interpretation would be that the followers of ThinkLinkers are very advanced in data and analytics management, because having that a large number indicating that they build data stewards is proving to me that your audience is quite far on the data journey. Yeah, because I would basically say the same, that, and we talked about it, understanding of the organization, understanding of the operating model of the organization, understanding capabilities, competitive advantage of the company, applications, processes, and so on. That is all, these are all aspects that you cannot hire. These are experiences and expertise that people from your organization have. Yeah, and you need that for the data steward as a subject matter expert. Yeah, so I agree, building a data steward is an easier or more fitting approach than hiring someone. Having that said, hiring data stewards can be also beneficial. Why? Because if you hire someone that is experienced in being a data steward, that means that role holder or that particular person is already used to fulfill the responsibilities of a data steward. So he has skill sets, particularly in that role of a data steward, dealing with these different requirements, dealing with different use cases, depending on the work of a data steward. So they have a quite good understanding of data management skills, capabilities, standards, and regulations that needs to be established also within your company. So it would be a mix, but I would rather say identify within your organization people that are kind of doing already these activities. Because let's be honest, Pio, yeah, whatever we call them, and that is maybe also the aspect about the percentage that said we do not have data stewards. They might not have someone or employees that are called data stewards, but they will have people dealing with data access, data definition, data quality, and so on. They just haven't recognized them as data stewards. Yeah, and that is maybe the most important, or one of the important aspects, that you recognize within your organization um, who is already kind of fulfilling the duties of a data steward, and you legitimize that person in that role. Yeah, and then your central data management or data analytics entity is giving the provided trainings is rolling out trainings so that they are more well equipped in their role.
Yeah. Just as you were saying before, data stewardship were something done on top of other things, and now they indeed need to become a separate role, perhaps benefiting, as you said, from some new, fresh data stewards that perhaps were only data stewards at another organization. But I firmly believe, I firmly agree with you that experience, someone who has worked maybe 4 years in the organization knows the ins and outs of it. How can you hire that? Time and experience are indeed something very hard to replace. However, doesn't matter how much you're paying for it or anything like that. So it's crucial that some of these people in the organization that have a very good cohesive understanding and comprehension of what the organization does step into the data stewardship discipline, let's say, indeed key. Now, I would like to bring to the table a very key topic here that we have heard several times, the terminology AI governance, right? Of course, we talk about data governance all the time, but now, of course, with the AI everything, there needs to be AI governance as well. But when we think about it, it is indeed quite an important, term, which will perhaps rise in popularity even beyond data governance. What do data stewards, what is the role of data stewards in AI governance nowadays, and what should it be?
Yeah, I give you maybe a kind of day-to-day example of what their role is. So again, if we think about AI products and services that needs to be developed, and you start in this activity, you have someone that is kind of sponsoring that activity and is demanding that. And then you kind of scope your initiative and you see what is the as-is situation in regards to what data do you need, where is this data coming from, how is the data quality in that sense, how is data protection, is that a topic that needs to be considered? Am I needing sensitive data? Do I have to ensure certain regulatory requirements, especially in the health industry, for example, or medicine industry, if I deal with patient data? So you would ask all of these questions, and in a good scenario, you would approach your data office, and the data office would either indicate to you to the data catalog where these information should be available, or they would indicate you to data stewards and make sure that these data stewards become part of the scoping already. They're very important. They are already part of the scoping and assessing the feasibility of producing such an AI service or product. And then they would be part of the AI model training. So they would analyze together with scientists or data analysts and so on if the response or the AI modules have the output that is expected or that is needed. So they would interpret it together with the AI or dedicated AI developers, the result of the AI module, and would then ensure that the improvement on the data infrastructure, data model, and so on is happening. So in most cases, especially if we deal with advanced data types, there's no owner for the data, there's no clear definition for the data, there's no one feeling responsible for the data. So the data steward is either responsible for that or would raise an issue here that we have data that is not in that sense defined or qualified, and then they would make sure that either it becomes part of their domain, yeah, because they have been asked to be part of that initiative, or they would escalate it and make sure that other data stewards or other domain representatives would play also a part in that role. Yeah. So, long story short, the usage of the AI module depends on data availability, data quality, and so on. And for that, the data steward is to a large extent responsible, yeah, and needs to ensure that it is fitting for the purpose of the AI service.
Okay, okay. And look, there is of course this technical side of things in the role of a data steward. But then there is also the discussion about culture, the so-called data culture. Who should create it? What does it actually mean to have a data culture? And in this particular instance, I would like to ask you whether data stewards have a role to play in establishing a healthy and sustainable data culture within their organization.
Most certainly, Pio. I would say that's one of their key tasks, and they do it again. Yeah, they are not Highlanders. Okay, one person with a sword and then fighting its way along. They need obviously a backup team. Yeah, so in that sense, it is important to have other data stewards. Yeah, to establish, for example, a data steward roundtable where data stewards from the organization interact with each other, are trying to solve common issues within the organization related to data literacy, understanding, and so on. Yeah, use each other's example as best practices or good practices from the company, and indicating, look, these are success stories, and that was the support that has been given, and so on, and also promoting their own role in that sense. So they are, um, we always say, they are doing the right things based on what has been decided, what is the right, yeah, set up capability that needs to be addressed in regard to data analytics and AI management. Yeah, so they are the extension of a data office, and so on.
Mhm.
So they need to have, in that sense, training. They need to have, in that sense, networks. They need to have, for that, um, success stories that are supporting them. Uh, and they need to have a mandate. They need to have also decision rights when it comes to, for example, improving data quality. Yeah, I find it difficult for data stewards to point out issues, yeah, and then leaving it there. Data stewards need to be also supported in making decisions on an operational level. Yeah, when it comes to data maintenance, um, data cleansing activities, and so on. Yeah, so all of these would feed the data culture to be more data centric in a way. Yeah, or the organizational culture to be more data centric and asking questions about what, why do we need the data, how do we need the data, and so on.
Yes, also for the sake of agility, you know, because when data stewards can make decisions and they are the most, qualified to make certain decisions related to data quality, then the organization can move faster. Otherwise, again, problems are raised, nothing happens, and that
Yeah,
is a problem. That is a cost, indeed, and it's a loss as well. We
yeah.
have a question, a comment here, actually, from Sami. We have discussed the roles of data owners and data stewards, noting that data stewards typically possess a business understanding of a company's data. How is the role of data custodian positioned and evolving in the technical domain. Should the data steward also capture technical knowledge or have dedicated SPOCs to address technical questions such as where the data is, understanding technical lineage of the data, etc.? Interesting in knowing your view on these questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a long one, Sami.
Yeah, but first of all, thanks to Sami for the question. I think it's also an important one because we talk quite heavily about, let's say, functional or business related aspects of the role of a data steward. And rightfully, the question is, how do they need to also cover some technical aspects? I would say, again, like I said before, they need to have a certain understanding on applications and data models to interpret and translate requirements that are occurring from data consumers in regards to the data objects that they are responsible for. But they need to know what application owner, lead, or developer is then to address with that question, and they need to kind of be the bridge between functional units and IT units or application leads. Yeah? So in that sense, yes, they need to have dedicated SPOCs that they can talk to, and they need to have, in that sense, when they come from a business data model, yeah, they need to be able to kind of interact with the SPOCs on a logical data model. So kind of the translation of the business data model so that the technical side is then able to engage in a physical, really application-specific data model. Yeah. So they don't need to have a full understanding of a technical data lineage, but they need to provide answers which are supporting questions on a more technical side.
Yeah, they need to know where to whom to ask questions, where to ask questions, and so on, and kind of bridge the two things together.
Yeah.
Which is not an easy task, but it is indeed crucial.
Yeah.
Very good question, Sami. Thank you very much for it. Now, tell me a little bit about DRIVA, Nagim, because I want to know, how do you support organizations in this matters?
Yeah, surely. So basically, all the issues and examples I have given are based on our own experience that we face on a daily basis. So we see us as enablers. That means we try to support organizations in building up the data literacy and understanding of the capabilities, procedures, processes required, for example, to engage now in AI modules. Yeah? So we take over the setup of operating modules and making sure that we have a good understanding of how the organization is currently structured. And then we would incrementally, or iteratively support to improve then the maturity of these capabilities by different aspects. Either we take over in establishing or defining standards, procedures, processes, and so on, or we execute trainings to support the role holders, such as data stewards, or we even engage in pilot use cases where we would simulate the development of AI products. So we have also scientists, engineers that would engage in use cases of the organization and would support them in developing them, going throughout the entire data journey from data sourcing and creation until the data value has been really established. So we support on the entire life cycle in that sense. Also supporting on data cataloging, for example, making sure that the metadata is there. Data stewards can fulfill also their duties. and so on. So it's a wide range. And if people are interested in knowing more about us, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Yeah, book a slot, a chat, and I can explain more. Or we can engage in questions related to the audience organization.
Let me tell you, this is quite an unusual thing. Usually, the sessions that we have,
Yeah.
they always kind of address either the business side, the CEO, CXO, CDO, CIO, and in this, we don't. There are too many vowels in that word. Let's be honest with it. There are too many vowels. It's difficult to pronounce. So this time we're talking about data stewards, which is quite unusual. But I'm very glad we're doing that because, as you're saying, you're covering everything, the end to end. You're assisting organization with that, so you can really see how data stewards are a bit of the unsung hero of the whole chain.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
At the end of the day, they play a huge role in the success of any AI initiative. Yeah. So how good the idea might be, the strategy might be, if again, yeah, and I think that is something that colleagues of mine and also other important figures in the industry are pointing out. Foundational work needs to be also addressed. Yeah. And in that sense, yes, they are very important. And especially if we talk now about federated data models, data domain models, and they being part of domains, not of a central team and so on. Yeah, it's a huge network that data stewards need to have to fulfill their duty. And so it is quite complex. And in that sense, it needs to be understood. Otherwise, there's no success.
100%. 100%. Now, again, best way to reach out to you then, because of course, I will talk to you for several more hours, and there are so many things to cover. We're talking about AI, and we just started scratching the surface. We're talking about data stewards. We're talking about different offices. But for those in the audience that would like to know more about you, what are the different ways, and also maybe generally about DRIVA? What are the different ways they can find out more?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking that question. I mean, there are plenty of channels where you can reach out to us. It's either through the website that we have, or you can reach out here through LinkedIn on our company site or personally to me. And also, I attend here and there some conferences, such as the Think Lab previously, and I think it will also be in the future a case. So if you're part of the Think Linkers network or family, then attend the marathon or the Think Lab. You might gonna see me there. And apart from that, I think Hamburg is a beautiful city, always worth a travel. So here, we can grab a coffee and sit next at the harbor and chat or philosophy. We can have some philosophical conversations about data stewards, whether they are the real heroes or not.
Absolutely, and I really invite everyone in the audience to reach out to Nagim. We had several events together, and every single time you really managed to bring a lot of value, brilliant analogies between data strategy and other things, and it's always a treat. Therefore, I invite everyone in the audience to really connect, because you're not only a person that brings a lot of value with the consulting firm DRIVA, but also as a thought leader.
Thank you, Pio. Very much appreciating hearing that from you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, I would like to thank everyone in the audience for being with us today. If you have any questions, perhaps you're watching this a couple of minutes later or this evening, and you have some questions, please do drop them in the chat. We will follow up with them. And obviously, let's keep the conversation about data stewardship going on. And because there's a lot more to discuss, and the future is bringing even further evolutions in this role. I mean, AI is just at the beginning. Let's think about it. It's a technology in its infancy.
Yeah.
So we can only expect that this role will change even further with time.
It's an endless journey.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone, and again, thank you very much, Nagim. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you and everyone else in the audience a wonderful continuation of your day.
Thank you, Pio, and thanks to the audience for being part of today's session. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.